Okay, YouTubers and space detectives, this is Joe from Art Alien TV. Now today I've got two sets of images to show you. The first set is this in this Gigapan here from the Perseverance rover, and I also have another couple of Gigapans that I've done from the Curiosity rover, but they're not on this Gigapan site yet, but they will be by the time you watch this video, and there will be links to all these things in the description below, just below the text at the top. There'll be links to these Gigapans, okay? I'm going to show you this one first, and then I'm going to move on. There's some astonishing, absolutely astonishing new views and close-ups of the giant Ares statue that I've been showing you over the last few months, and some interesting developments, okay? Now this is mind-boggling and very interesting, and you're going to absolutely love that. But before I show you those, I'm going to show you this one on the Gigapan site, because this is something you can check out straight away. I'm not going to show you everything I've got here now. I'm just going to show you the main things, and I will put clips in at the end of the video, as usual, in the last 2 or 3 minutes. Like with all my videos, I always put the enhanced and raw clips in at the end for you to look at and study yourself, and you can freeze frame it and look at them properly and use your magnifier, or you can take screenshots or whatever you want to do, okay? But this basically was the main thing which I found the other day. Now some of you may have seen this already, because I did post it on my channel posts, not in a video but in the post on Art Alien TV, and I also posted this on Mars Magazine as well. So if you follow any of those things, you would have seen this already, and this is it here. This looks to be a fossilized skull of an ape type hominid, just here, and it's right at the back of the image, right back here. The rover's right down here, and the camera's quite high up. It's over 6 foot up in the air. The camera is about 6.5 feet or something. So we're looking from that sort of height across the ground. We got some nice detail in here. We got good granular detail, which is what you should see in these images. Okay, right, nice granular detail. You go all the way up to the top here, right by where the images were joined together here in the Gigapan software. Just below that, we have another hominid stroke ape on Mars. Now this must be quite big. In fact, I would say this is much larger than the human skull, because this is right at the back of the image, which must be, I would say, 40 or so feet from the rover, maybe 50 or 60. Don't know exactly, but somewhere in that realm, okay? Don't know exactly, it's hard to say exactly. But it's right at the back of the image, and it's still big, and it still stands out. And what's cool about this is it's got a dark shadow on that side, which outlines the back end of the skull here. And we have a dune here by the marker that comes round here, right? Which also outlines the shape nicely. So we got darker colours either side of the skull, making it relatively easy to look at. Now these images are very light, like I said, and it took me a while to get used to these Perseverance rover images, because they're much lighter than the ones from Gale Crater, which is much lower down. Gale Crater is miles deep below the surface of Mars, which may explain why a lot of the images are quite dark. Okay, this is up much higher up. It's in a crater, but it's nowhere near as deep as Gale Crater. Okay, you can't see it very well because obviously, like I said, this is very light and pale, this image. But you can see the eyes. There's one there, one there. There's the nose. There's the mouth. There's a crack from behind the cheekbone here. You can see the cheekbone here sticking out where that shadow is. There's a crack going back from there. Now it's quite common in fossilized skulls to see cracks in them. Okay, and also we don't know exactly the cranial plate morphology of some of these creatures on Mars. Some of these hominids and humanoids and other creatures. We don't know the exact cranial plate formation, so they may have a different set of bones on the skull. Okay, and this may represent a join between different cranial plates. Okay, I've already done a clip. A lot of you would have seen this already. Those that go on to Mars Magazine, and Obviously, this is the enhanced clip in the middle, and there's that raw clip I just showed you, straight from that Gigapan. And you can see, now I've darkened this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to darken this a bit more because it's actually still quite pale, even though I've darkened it quite a lot. I'm going to go a little bit darker because it's just going to make things stand out a bit better around the eye area and facial area. There we are. A bit more, just a little bit more. There we are. Now you can see quite clearly now an eye, right? And another eye. Okay. And a nose. And the mouth. There's wrinkled lip detail, which looks like it's showing teeth detail from behind. Canine teeth there, or a canine tooth there possibly, right? Like apes have, and like humans have. Chin obviously coming down here. Very flat face, like a bonobo almost. And the skull comes right up, elongated, up to here. It's cone-headed, comes around here and down here. You can actually see the cheekbone here, and you can actually see some bone detail here behind the eye, which is perfect. There's not a lot of detail here because this is right at the back of the image, but this must be much, much bigger than a human skull. Human skulls aren't that big. Human skulls really are on average about 8 or 9 inches high from the chin to the top of the forehead, but this goes right up. And interestingly, this is really interesting. We have these huge gouge marks in the top of the skull. We're seeing into the skull here. It's broken, right? And this is a very different colour to this bluish colour here, right? We're seeing into the skull. This is brain material, it seems. And these are teeth marks. This is not, it looks to me like these are gouge marks from a bite. You can actually see, if I go back, you can see that quite clearly in the smaller image here. You can see these marks, right? This is a bite mark. And something large, very large, with big teeth that are that size, has bitten and sculpted this creature, this hominid or ape, okay? It's bitten the top of the cranium off, and we're seeing the actual scars, or not even scars, these are actual bite marks where it's completely taken the top part of the bone away, right? Let me get rid of that so you can actually see the details, right? Now, there's not a hell of a lot of detail here, but there's enough to see that because luckily this thing is quite large, right? You can actually see those marks quite clearly here. There's the front of the skull, there's the back of the skull, and we've got these jagged lines here with a difference in colour between the blue and this browny orangey colour here. Now, what colour's a brain? It's kind of an orangey kind of creamy colour, right? That's what we're seeing. We're seeing brain material here, it looks like, right? So the skull, the top of the skull has been bitten clean off by a creature, I would say probably a lizard or a dinosaur or something along those lines, perhaps. Right? And some of them got very large teeth. But also, there was a type of hominid, or what I would call, what I've called in the past the ogre types of Martians, who are very tall and have very large shark-like teeth. And these teeth marks are that sort of size. So I'm not making this up. I found hundreds of skulls on Mars. So if you're new to this channel, suspend your disbelief until you've at least looked at the other clips I'm going to show later in the video, or until you've watched some of my other videos on some of the things I found in Gale Crater and on other parts of Mars. There are hundreds of skulls that I found, and this is one of the best, I would say. This is one of the best ones because we got really good ideas. The way it's outlined here by the shadow in the sand is really good because we've got really good outline and fairly good detail considering how far away this thing is. Okay? Fairly good detail. You can actually see through the lips there because when people or apes die, the skin on the face shrinks, and what you then get are teeth protruding through the thinner lips where they've thinned down and dehydrated. Okay? That's what you get with mummies, that's what you get with dead bodies, dead people, dead animals. The skin shrinks, it desiccates, and the moisture is probably absorbed into the sand and into the atmosphere. It dries out, and then you get a almost shrink wrap look around the face where the skin hugs the bone. That's what we have here. We have a hominid, a large hominid. I would say this skull is at least double the size of a human skull, at least. Maybe quite a lot bigger. I don't know exactly. But for it to show up in this detail at probably over 40 feet away, this is really large. I would say this is about 18 inches in size. So it's double the height, double the width, and double the depth. So the actual brain capacity is very large of this hominid or ape. Okay? And the question is, were these the dominant species in this area? Maybe not, obviously, because if this has got huge teeth marks on the head there, then there's obviously another species which was more dominant and much bigger that attacked it and killed it. So there was a food chain going on here, and some of these large hominids were not top of the food chain. And that says to me, that confirms to me what I've been saying for many years now on my channel, that there was a whole food chain on Mars, and some of the creatures were really quite large and quite dangerous, and they were attacking and eating some of the smaller creatures. But this is by no means a small creature, right? If this is an 18-inch hominid skull, that's very large indeed. It's going to be at least twice the size of a human, at least. But we don't know that. I mean, they may have had hominids and humanoids and stuff. Well, they did have hominids and humanoids, but the fact is their bodies and their actual skeletal makeup may have been quite different. They may have had very large heads, but fairly small bodies in comparison. So we need to find more specimens with whole skeletons, and we need to look at the leg bones, the arm bones, the rib bones, and everything else, and the length of the spine and everything else to determine how tall these things were. The skull doesn't tell you everything. It does tell you a hell of a lot. It tells you about diet, it tells you about intelligence, and things like that, but it doesn't tell you exactly how big they were. You can only really estimate that by comparing it to similar sized skulls we have of hominids and humans on Earth. Okay? It's complicated business, but that's what I'm here for. Okay? That's what I'm here to try and work out. We can work out these things. Eventually we'll get enough of these specimens to work out the entire set of different species that there were, dominant species, apex predators, as well as hominids and smaller creatures like rodents and lizards and everything else. We will have a full spectrum. I've found species from every type on Mars that we have here, almost every type. In other words, apes and hominids, lizards and snakes, but also things like rodents and even dinosaurs, okay? There was also this thing over here, this weird sort of rock here with something underneath it, which looks like some kind of plate underneath it, just here. Interesting. Would a normal everyday rock have something like that stuck to the bottom of it? I don't think so. But who knows? Maybe. There's lots of weird looking rocks here that look like things, and I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll put clips of them in at the end. But the interesting spot was right here. And this was really cool because we got a bunch of objects all together Now, this often would happen in Gale Crater as well, where you'd have nothing for ages, then you'd have a whole group of objects that look like they are related to each other and maybe part of a burial or some kind of burial mound or something like that, okay? And this is it. We've got this weird thing here, 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 and up here. And there's another thing here. I'm just going to show you those in here briefly. Let's get rid of that. Here we are. Now I've taken a clip of that and I've darkened it considerably. I've colour corrected it and added lots of darkness and contrast. I'm just going to brighten that up a little bit actually. So I've gone a bit too dark. Let's go a bit brighter. There we are. Look at the shape of it. We have a part there, and we have another part here, and this part that comes around like this. Then we have a line coming down here and here. This is an object. I don't know what it is. It's kind of helmet shaped almost, but I don't really understand what it represents. It's got some interesting kind of inscription type interwoven detail on it as well. Very strange. It looked to me like a helmet. And this could be the face part of the helmet here. Let's do that again. And the back of the helmet, top of the helmet there, and the back of the helmet here. But I could be wrong, it could be something else. It could be almost anything. But we've got some interesting details here. We've got a line coming through here, another one there, here and here. And it's got these kind of patterns in it. And some of them are interwoven where they go behind each other, like that. Like a kind of knot. Like a Celtic knot almost. Right? Really strange. Let me darken that up a bit. Let's go really dark and see if that pops out. You'll start to see the pattern coming out now. There we are, I can start to see it now. There it is. See these things? We got these kind of weird, almost like Celtic knots in it. Now, this may actually be a sort of normal rock with some kind of weird fossilized creatures in it or something. But I think it may be a carved object, or possibly a helmet or something like that. Who knows? Or a carving of someone wearing a helmet, perhaps, like I've shown before. But these may be fossils. It could be some kind of marine fossil, we don't know. Like a type of sponge or coral or something, who knows? There may have been little plants growing out of this, which is what these round things are here. There may have been little coral plants growing out of it at one point, who knows? And there's also one in front here with what look like these weird sort of eyes on it. It's there. Really weird, but they're all over it. Now, I think this is a type of weird sort of coral. Okay. Now, I have shown coral before in Gale Crater, and it looks a bit like brain coral, which would explain these squiggly patterns in it. Right? So that may be what we're seeing here. Right? This here and this here. Then there was this. Now, what does this remind you of? Unfortunately, there's a rock just in front of it here. Try and ignore this rock in front. Look at this. Now this is what looks like some kind of animal, like a rodent or rabbit or something. Now I'm not sure about these details, it's a bit vague, right? But we have what looks like a mouth or nose here, nose, and what looks like an eye here, right? So we've got some interesting details going on here, but I could be wrong. But why would a rock have another rock joined to it like that? It's not just cracked, this is joined. In other words, this looks like a manufactured object, perhaps made of clay, and sculpted in clay and then baked hard, perhaps. So it could be a sculpture of an animal, like a rabbit or some kind of rodent or some other weird small creature. I have shown others. I will put a clip of some in at the end. There are others like this kind of size, and some of them have look like rodents with big ears, okay? But not quite like our rodents or rabbits. They're sort of weird, they're different. So they may not be rabbits at all, they may be something else, okay? And there's also this weird thing. I don't know what this is. This may just be a rock here, but I thought this was weird. There's some weird details in here, this thing. Can't really make out what it is. And then there was what looks like another carved head or something just here. With a chin and a mouth. Chin, nose, an eye here, and then the head comes around like that. Upper lip there. Cheek there. Lower lip detail. So these things are all over the place, but it did take me a while to get used to these images, because like I said, they're much lighter than the ones in Gale Crater because we're much further up. And I think we're probably nearer the equator as well, further up. So the lighting's different, the ground's different, the sand's lighter and yellower, probably more sulfur, like I said. So it's much more reflective, and we're getting a lot more yellowing in the images, which actually isn't a bad thing, really. There's also this weird thing. Now this is right over to the right of the Gigapan, and it may just be nothing. It's right over this side. So that group of objects is there. Most of the stuff is on the left here. But right over this side was this weird thing. Now, this is maybe nothing at all. This may just be a weird rock, but if you look with the magnifier, you've got a different coloured rock behind. We've got this rock here in front, and we have a different coloured rock with different texture behind it, which looks like it's stuck to the edge. We've got these right angles in here, like it's attached to this rock, just here. We will find out one day, if the people at NASA who are listening, and I know they are, and I'm going to prove it in a minute, please send a mission to the polar region, North Polar region of Mars, and take some ice core samples, and then measure the atmospheric changes over long periods of time, going right back, and we can then find out when the water disappeared on the surface and when the cataclysms happened exactly. We could give them almost an exact date by studying the layers in the ice, but that means a large, long ice drill to take the samples with. That could be quite difficult. We really need to do that and find out when all this stuff actually happened by looking at and studying the ice and the various gas elements in those ice layers and soot layers and stuff like that in the ice as well. There'll be layers of soot and different gas elements trapped in the ice, and then you can measure exactly when the cataclysms happened, when the nuclear war happened, and when water evaporated or whatever, okay? That's what we need to do. Please send a mission to the North Polar Ice Cap, at least part of it, and take some nice deep ice core samples. Right, that's what we need to do. Here it is. This is an enhancement, colour corrected and brightened up a bit. This was in shadow, so I actually had to brighten this. You can actually see these weird teeth here, and these weird details in here which look a bit like something, I don't know what really. Very strange, quite complex, right? But if you look carefully, it's joined like this, right? You've got these weird, jagged, rectangular sort of lines in here where it's joined to this rock. You see this here? We get rid of that. And you can see that in the raw image where it's joined, just there. Like someone stuck it on there. Now that's just weird, so I'm not going to go on and on about it because I don't know what it is. Perhaps some of you could suggest what it might be, I don't know. It just may be some kind of optical trick, I don't know. But it's weird. And there's loads of weird things like this in this panoramic image. I'm going to show you something that might just blow your mind. Now, those of you who've been watching my channel over the last few weeks will know that a few weeks ago I did a video and I actually said that I know that people from NASA are watching my channel, and I said in that video, could you please take some close-ups down the edge of Mount Sharp here. This is Gale Crater. This is the other rover, Curiosity rover, right? And they've done exactly what I asked. They've taken some nice close-ups of the Ares statue here, and we could see it almost perfectly from dead on from the front. And this is the best image we've had of it so far. We've had some good ones recently, which I asked them to take, right? But this is even better because we've got, not only we got confirmation of what it is in this image, just by the sheer detail in it, but we can even see, as I predicted, that there is a horn coming out the other side that matches up the one on this side. Right? There's the edge of the face. Right? We've got the two eyes. Okay, there's the nose. You can see the nose detail going round as well. Nostril detail. There's the other nostril coming around like that. This is perfect. The mouth, you can see the mouth here going round the other side as well, into the shadow. So we've got, this has been enhanced by the way, slightly. I've had to brighten this up a bit. So we've got almost perfect detail showing the Ares statue. Now I did, like I said, a few weeks back, I asked them to take these photographs and said, can we have some nice close-ups please? I said, can we drive down this way and then zoom the camera right in? And that's exactly what they're doing. This is Mont Mercou here, which I showed in previous videos, just here, the bottom of it. And we have here a close-up. I'm going to take some clips of this and enhance it a bit more and add some colour to it as well, and put some clips in at the end. And there will be a link to this Gigapan in the description. I haven't uploaded it yet, but it will be up later. And I'll do a colour version of it as well, probably, and put them both together. And we got some pretty cool detail of the other statue, which is the Emperor here, but it's still not really close enough to that to see it, but we can see the Emperor's head there. And there's some interesting stuff going on below here, which I can't really work out. Very interesting, right? Some weird and interesting details going on here in the rock. So we should get more close-up if they carry on going in this direction, which I hope they do. I'm hoping the people at NASA who are listening will give us some real good close-ups of this one here, because we want to see the Emperor up close and see what's below it, because we have seen close-ups of it before, but only from the top here. We haven't seen the whole thing like this before. This is all new. We haven't seen this before. But we're not close enough yet. This is still out of visual range. We need to zoom right into this area. Behind there is here, right? Over to the right. And we also want to see more of this, because I think this area here and this is also artificial. And in fact, you can see what looks like a better close-up of this thing that looks a bit like an inscription here, or something on this rock, this mound. Let's darken that right up. There's something on there. You can see here these symbols, and it's not enough detail really to tell either way yet, but it looks to me interesting, and hopefully when we get close-ups of this, we'll get close-ups of that as well. So now, like I said before, I know that people from NASA are watching this channel, and I actually was recently sent an email. Now I'm not going to show you the entire email because I don't want to give this person away. What I've done is I've taken an image clip of one of the emails I was sent 10 days ago by a new subscriber. And this subscriber, I've left out a couple of details here because I don't want to give anything away, and I don't want to get anyone into trouble here, okay? Because I know what some of these organisations can be like in America. So this is what it says. I'm hesitant to leave any more public messages, but I did want to tell you how amazing your work is. You are very good at your craft, and I really enjoy your work. Someone, right, full stop, someone close to me at NASA and works in blank and watches you too, he told me about you actually and told me to keep an eye on you. I thought you might like to hear that. No need to rely on it. I just thought you should know what he won't say publicly. Pardon my intrusion during your personal time. Right. So basically, this was an email I sent 10 days ago, and I was quite pleased about it because it's not the only one I've had. I'm not going to show the others because they're from quite some time ago, a year or two ago, some of them. But this is really recent, and this confirms what I've been saying in videos also recently, that I know that they're watching my channel, and I know that some of my other subscribers are actually from NASA, but they don't say a lot. And this confirms that they don't say a lot, and confirms that they're probably not really allowed to, okay? But it also confirms that when I ask for them to do something, like take close-ups, and then I get them literally days later or a week later, that also proves that they're taking my channel quite seriously and my work quite seriously, and they're also just as intrigued and interested to find out what I think as well. And what do you think, the people out there who are watching this channel? Because your opinions also count. Because you often point out details I miss, and that's great. It's all part of the mission. Now, I've been dedicating myself to this mission, and now the new mission in Jezero Crater, Mission Jezero. I've been dedicated to the Curiosity and other rovers now for over 10 years. In fact, going back 15 years. But this channel was only about 10 years old. And I do this full time. I'm one of the only people in the world that does it full time. So effectively, what this means is that when I asked them to drive in a certain direction, and when I asked them to take close-ups of certain things, they tend to do it. Now, this has happened a number of times recently, as well as in the past. And I can actually prove it now as well. And I've got other emails I could show you, but I'm not going to go into all that now. I don't want to get anyone into trouble. I'm not going to name any names or say where they're from or anything like that, because I know these people work under certain circumstances which are a little bit difficult. They're not really allowed to say things. Okay, so when all you out there are criticising the people at NASA and saying, oh, you know, they're ripping us off and we've spent billions of dollars. Yeah, but it's not really their fault. There are other agencies who are controlling the narrative and restricting information, okay? That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say who they are, okay? But you could probably work it out. But this is an awesome, awesome close-up. I was absolutely gobsmacked when I saw this. And like I said, it confirms the details that I said before, that I thought this was... in fact, there was a subscriber that pointed out that these look like horns sticking out the side here. But you can actually see the other one, it goes over the top here, and the other horn comes out like that, right? And the eye detail is quite incredible. Let's go in a bit close. I will come back to this in a few days as well and show you the enhancements I've done. There's the eye detail, there's the other eye. And you can even see the nose as it goes around, the nostril, and the other nostril here, and the mouth. Goes around the other side as well, okay? And you can really see the damage here where parts of the rock have fallen away. And you can see the construction lines where it's actually made in sections, like I showed before. One section, two section, three section, another one here, another one here, another one here, okay? This is made in levels. This is block work, okay? And some of it is cracked and fallen away, okay? Some of the cheekbone here is missing, like you would see on the giant sphinx in Egypt near Cairo, okay? Lots of damage, erosion, absolutely incredible. The detail we're seeing now on this is absolutely amazing. So I'll take some more clips of that and put enhancements and I'll colorise it for you. I'm going to call it a day now because this video's gone on way too long. I will come back to this again in a few days, and I'll also keep you updated on any Perseverance developments. Like I said, there will be images from the copter hopefully in the next few days, and more close-ups hopefully of some of the things on the ground. We may get some better views of some of those things. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe, and like I said, the people at NASA are watching, and now I can prove it with this email. I've got others, but this is one of the better ones, recent ones. So I can prove it, that they're watching and listening, and it seems like they are actually taking directions from me on what to photograph and give us close-ups of, which I find quite mind-boggling in itself. Okay, so thanks for watching, everybody, whether you're a civilian or not. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.